dog, whatever we'll call them, are approved in the 2016 budget right now, but it was just half of what she needed. And we had approved at the very last, like, month of last year to do her septic issues. But when we went and we took it to Bonnie, it was gonna come out being a lot more. We originally thought it was 10,000, we came back and said it'd be closer to 20, and there were some issues. And so we put that on hold and we didn't end up doing it. So, you know, we could add that money back in to her dog stuff for 2016, or, you know, if there are other things that you guys, like the paving in the driveway, you know, does anybody have any animal questions? Is everybody familiar with the animal issues in the dog park? All that kind of thing.
So we plan to do the campaign, get the grant again this year.
Yes.
And we'll put a little bit of funding behind that to do a stronger social media campaign too, so. We were closed last year, so we could have that turned around.
I thought the dog park was 250. 400?
That is what we got from the engineers. So I'm
But
sure
there's
we
a
can.
lot, there's some value. So we could put that in the phases. We don't necessarily give anything up, but we could give, you know, marketing and put it up and then add to it as it was successful in the 2 years.
And also to give you an idea of kind of the process for a couple of these items, before we can do the exterior kennel work, we have to be hooked up to the sewer system. We can't add anything else. Right now, we're on septic. We just can't add anything else to that septic system right now. We've got to get hooked up to sewer first before we do the exterior kennels. Because the exterior kennels will have drains in them, and we just don't want to add anything else to that existing septic system.
And Lonnie's estimate on this was 20,000.
We originally thought we're given 10, but then when they did some research, they came out and looked at some things, their estimate was closer to 20. So,
And
And so,
for us to connect to the existing sewer system.
and we
have to do
connected,
that eventually.
and
We can't
as
stay
part of that, the kennels we funded in 2016 budget, correct? Half of that, which was two, how much was that?
I think we put 50 in, I think we asked for 100, I think, right? And so, that, she's only got 50 in there right now. So, and this is the first I've heard that the septic had to be done before those, because we had planned to do it before, so it wasn't an issue. So.
But after talking to them, it's like, if we have to do.
Yeah,
we
you
have
don't
to
want to
do
go in
it
there and
first.
tear up something that you did. So what my question would be, so if you spent the $20,000, close to $20,000 to do the sewer line, would it be that money that's left, could you do anything with the kennel, or do you pretty much need, is it 50,000, is it like a phase one and it has to be 50,000, or?
50,000 might do the concrete work and the plumbing work, and that would be it. And I don't even know that it would do all of that, because that's the bulk of the money. The bulk of the cost is the concrete and the plumbing.
Right.
The rest of it is cookie and expensive compared to that portion of it. But, you know, she was saying, well, could you get half? And I was like, well, I don't know that we could have like half of the number of kennels. I don't know, we might
Right.
have
Well, that's why
half
I was
of the
asking,
amount
yeah, I was
of the
asking
concrete
if
work.
you could,
But-
but so what your intention was for that 50,000 was to get all the concrete and plumbing done for the entire project?
If that were
50,000,
possible.
yeah. So you
I don't know
still
if
need
that's
$20,000 then to tie in the sewer.
Well, that has to be done at some point, right?
Mhm.
I mean.
Yes.
If we want to stay in that facility. I mean, another thing to consider is we're looking at a 5-year plan is, do we want to consolidate our city facilities? And I just bring that up just from being in other cities, that, does it make sense, is that an ideal location for your animal services? Or is there somewhere else that might be better, or do you want to group services together?
No, I don't think you're gonna want the kennel services anywhere near all the others. I've never seen a dog facility anywhere close to all the others.
You're saying you don't want it out here? You don't want it here?
Oh, we live next door to you out there on the line.
I'm asking
You know, my
here-
thinking
I'm
would be
saying
to
over
fix
here
the
in Ward
building.
3, would that not be a good place out there?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I know that we need to, you need to be
You'll know
looking
that
at this,
building.
right?
Fine with that.
I mean, that's a basic Yeah.
And actually, if you hook it up to sewer, if you ever decide to move, it makes it more valuable, so.
Yeah, I just,
Yeah.
It's an investment in the property.
Yeah, I mean-
It's the easiest and lowest cost to expand services and allow to service more animals. And it would really help to have an outdoor facility. It would enhance the inside facility, just be able to spread out more and so. And maybe what we do is this year, you know, we'd really like to get all this done this year, I know we would, but maybe this year move forward right now and getting the sewer in. I mean, first things first, we've
That's
got
what I
to pay
think.
the sewer.
That's my
Is let's take what's in the budget right now.
Right, that's what I was
And
thinking.
let's do sewer, and then let's come back later in the year, maybe at the second or third quarter, budget workshop, and look at where we are, how we're doing with sales tax, because then we're not adjusting the budget to go ahead and move forward on work that we can do now.
Yeah.
What do y'all think?
what do you think?
We have to do one before we can do the other.
Okay, so this would be,
Step one.
Step one.
Okay. okay.
Okay.
Let's get
I
that.
like that.
Yeah,
Let's
I
get that
agree.
done and work on getting the dog park grant.
All right. All right, well, then, if there's nothing else on animal, we've
I
already.
did have that.
I do want to mention to council while they're here that in a few weeks, I mean, we've got it all done, but through iWorks, we're going to be able to have, you'll be seeing a campaign come out where people can get their pet licenses online as opposed to having to go down to that. And this is something that Trish has worked on for a long time with iWorks. It's done. We're just waiting on IT to land it up on the city website, and we'll be doing press releases about it. And I think our number of pets that will be registered will increase exponentially this year as a result of that, because a lot of people don't know. They even have to have that. So, and then we'll tie it to people, we'll tie it also into the water window. People set up their water services at that time, asking, do you have pets? And then turn around, the kiosk will be there. They can do it right there. Residents of town, welcome to Bryant Animal Control.
Thank you, Trish. So.
Have a good evening, Trish.
Thank you. And next is ONOT. ONOT has a lot of items.
Am I gonna introduce this second before you get into your long list, because I might have to duck out early. Just wanted to let you all know, if you weren't aware, federal minimum wage went up to $8 an hour. So there are some budget adjustments that we're gonna need to make. I think probably most of the people land in parks, but we did have to adjust some people up that we weren't necessarily expecting to. So Joy and I are gonna get together and get y'all the budget adjustments later in the year for that little piece. I just wanna give you a heads up that it did go up to $8.
Well, most of these part-time employees. Want that too.
And while we've got Charlie, do you guys have any other questions for her? I know she's in the throes of a little bit all that stuff, and W-2s. And so, you know, I know there are probably lots of questions, because there, I mean, anything that you haven't mentioned to her before, that, you know, we're good. Just hold the course until we finish out the month.
Can't for a little bit longer, but just in case, I don't want to interrupt you in the middle of a good,
In the middle of parks.
a good streak. I don't know, I think you might get on a roll over there.
No.
Well, I mean, first of all, I told Terry before you guys got here that I was just personally really disappointed that we didn't have better response to our survey. We only had 22 responses to our survey. I know that I was waiting like 3 months to get the responses to that survey to kind of get some sort of a direction on that massive list of parks things. So I don't know, I haven't even had a chance to talk to the mayor about this, if that's something we can extend the time on that survey and get more feedback, or if you guys all filled out the survey, do you have feedback of things we need to change in the way that we did it? Because, I mean, there's just so much for parks that it's hard to get your hands around it. And, you know, like I said, I was waiting on that, and we didn't get just a handful of responses. So, you know,
The message to them.
question.
If you give me another month, so, I mean, because by the time we put this in the water bill and go and social media out and send out our members at the center and all the organizations, I don't know.
I got it somehow, and I don't remember, I participated in it, but I don't remember how.
When I found out about it, I asked, and so then I knew.
And I brought it up, I know, at least, I think 2 times with you guys, because I think at some of the meetings for parks, I said, let's fill out the survey, you know, but,
And what surprises me on that is, I mean, yeah, the information may not have got out, but I think, you know, for people who's gonna make suggestions or comments about the park, it's gonna be typically people who use that part of the park, you know, and so if you didn't get any response.
Staff should be handing those out to people in the community. I really need you to take 5 minutes to fill this out today at every receptionist. And that is to be their primary task for a 5 or 6 day period, and I'm making sure it's covered every single weekend. Going down to the senior adult center, it's going to be staff.
And that's what I'm wondering, if if your results aren't gonna be a little bit skewed though, because if someone is going only to the aquatic facility, they're gonna have just comments and suggestions about aquatic, whereas somebody who's just using the basketball court, same thing. So, you know, I think if you're gonna really get a good sampling of what the public input is, you're gonna have to get the, I mean, I agree,
Well,
definitely should hand out the members, but I think we also have to figure out a way how the public is aware of,
well, like you
we're
said,
wanting that input.
put it in the water bill.
Yeah.
I mean, if you all agree, I think the best way to do it is do some promotions, because it's really hard to take people's time for 10 minutes, whatever. If you can do some promotions, give 3-day passes at the center or at North Park Pool and this and that, we can try to do that.
Well, and you have email addresses for all the members.
Yeah, yeah,
Center.
we can block
So
stuff.
you can
That's-
go to
that's
your
no
email
problem.
addresses there, which to me makes it easier, because if you tell me to type in some 35 long character website,
Mhm.
probably not gonna happen, but if you make it, I can click on that link, it's gonna be a lot
Yeah, we
easier.
can definitely do that.
So we can dedicate the entire like back page of the newsletter to the questionnaire. We've done that before, so it doesn't even have to be an additional expense. You can,
All right, so we fill them out here.
So, but, I mean, I was kind of waiting for that, to get that back to sort of put more on your plate other than the 7 that Brandon you brought up at the last budget meeting. So we don't really have a clear list for not to address you guys on, but you guys are well aware of a lot of the issues around parks. Does anybody have any questions about the ones that were on your list earlier? I can read those 7 out.
I got a question, and from what I understand, help fill me in here. Are we looking at maybe a study over that to look over our park system?
We
Go
are
ahead.
contracting with the U of A to come down and do a needs assessment for the park. We've reached out to them just in our search to find somebody. We've come across this opportunity. I was in Rogers last week and spoke with a parks director, very seasoned parks director that also serves on the advisory board for this needs assessment. Joy looked, we've got it in our existing budget for 2016 to do this, and we've talked to some other cities that have had it done. They said it was well or 10 times over what they paid for it. So we're gonna go ahead and move forward with getting that needs assessment done.
And they will come in and just
They will interview the staff and daily operations.
do their own deal and then report back to
Give us a report to
whatever.
really look at, what are we doing right? Give us some affirmation of the things that we're doing right. None of us have ever ran Bishop Park, and there's not many in the state to go model after. The ones that look like ours from a structural standpoint, a lot of them don't even operate like ours do. I mean, we're doing so much more programming than ours. Our success is part of what's causing some of our biggest challenges over there. So, I think it'll be a real advantage to our very eager park staff, working so hard to make that things happen.
When would that be?
Well, you get the report back and then you go, okay, what is your?
No, when do they start? When do they start working?
The class just started this week, and they picked Bryant, so probably next week.
Okay, so this is something that's fixing to start immediately. And when they get through they'll come back and report to
April.
whoever, like,
They'll bring a report to
Yeah,
council.
it will.
okay, the condition of our park, in their opinion, where our parks department is.
They said it's 300 pages.
what?
300 pages of report.
Oh, my goodness.
In April.
And they're supposed to bring it back in April.
We'll have to.
At the.
There will be- there will be
Y'all might
a
want to
text.
summarize for your council report.
Well, I'm sure they will just outline and everything, you know.
Yeah.
But anywhere from maintenance, equipment, salaries to staffing, everything will be included.
And how much does that cost?
So it's roughly 7,000.
See, that's a bargain. I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's your
That's
number
a-
one priority of any of these top seven, that's
That is the number,
because you
right.
don't know,
We don't know where to rank these yet until
Yeah.
maybe we have a professional, you know, sit us down and say, look,
Well, I think the benefit of that is you have somebody who's not affiliated with any of the
Exactly.
associations, not bought into it, they're just coming and looking at it
you got a
objectively.
different set of eyes looking in.
They're not trying to sell anything, they're just coming in saying, this works, this doesn't appear to work, what are you doing this for, this is great, you know.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Whoever idea that was, it was a good idea.
So a couple of questions on that. Right now, we have a couple of items that are in there funded. The top dresser for $12,000, and some, about $30,000 worth of various parks improvements. Do we want to put all of that on hold until this report comes back? Or are there certain things we want to move forward with?
We need to let them.
I say let them do their deal.
I mean, we have to, the only thing I know is we have to do the fencing, and it's already in the budget, so, I mean, I think you could proceed with that, and whatever time I mean, because that's part of the deal you have to do, but the rest of the things, I think we should wait and see what they're.
Yeah, I mean, if you ask my opinion, Mills Park, tennis lights needs to wait, basketball court overlay needs to wait. Trucks, we have actually multiple options going on for the parks trucks. We can wait on that. The workout equipment, we need to start talking about it because our equipment at the center is so outdated now.
You know, lease it.
Yeah.
Yes. And we're all meeting with the companies and getting different quotes on the equipment. Also, IT department needs to be involved in this because most of the equipment that we're looking at is high. You know, all these equipments that we have now, it's like 10 years old. Because we purchased them 6 years ago.
Yep.
They're already 2 or 3 years in technology. So the equipment that we were looking at works with Wi-Fi and everything. So we're working with the IT department on that, see if we can do that or not.
On the basketball floors, what are you looking at doing to those?
The basketball courts, what it is, because we have so much usage by Boys and Girls Club on court 2 and court 3. I mean, we come in, we surface the basketball courts, and about like 5 days later, someone's back to what it was. So we're trying to come up with a better solution, and resurface it using a different water-based product. We're hoping that will help us to keep those courts still.
How often do we do those courts?
Once a year.
Every year.
It's about, regular surface is about $3,000 job, but this will be actually totally resurfacing.
Was that what you were referring to?
Mhm.
Okay, I got
Because
it.
the new version would be 34,000?
Yes, 34,000.
And that's not in the budget.
And that's not replacing the surface, that's just refinishing the
They
surface.
come in, they sand everything down,
Mhm.
take all the old lines and everything, come back, and they reshape the basketball court, new lines, with all the programs that we're doing, and come back actually use the water base instead of oil-based product.
Okay.
Where we don't have to, when we surface it, right now we close the facility for almost a week because the smell is so heavy. We can't even operate for 4 or 5 days because the oil-based.
But we can
product
make
is
it
so
look better for 3,000 instead of spending 30,000
Mhm.
for, I mean, we don't play any like championship games there, do we? I mean,
I mean, there are different events takes place.
So they're using polyurethane now.
I'm sorry?
They're using polyurethane.
Yes.
So, what, if we were gonna do that more, or either option, is there a certain time of year we always do it?
We always try to do it at the summertime when the Boys and Girls Club actually takes a week break. So they're not there, and we can go in there, actually
We
it's
could
safe to
wait
Until
till-
the results come back. on
Gotcha.
April 1st, okay. And then the other one is a little bit further down, some of the events. You want to speak about that a little bit? Would we miss anything before April on the events? Because those are not currently funded in the 2016 budget.
Well, we actually have the circus coming in, that's already done. I can go back and look, but,
I think that's the whole thing.
I think it's actually changed. I think that's really down to 13. Really, the biggest question on that is if you're going to try to do the Family Fest again in 4th of July.
Family Fest on 4th of July, so still though, would we be too late if we made that decision in
I think so,
April?
and I
That
think the
has to be
budget
made
for,
now, I wouldn't do it.
I mean, you're already behind the eight ball in January, I think. It has to
So-
be July.
What is y'all's thought on that?
As far as the money for the basketball court?
no,
No, no, no.
this is for actually the programs, the big programs that we host at the Bishop
Yes,
Park.
yeah.
Anywhere from bringing the circus to Bishop Park, taking over the Monster Madness because Chandler is actually dropping that, the park wants to take over. So we're trying to do bigger events for the community, that way we can actually at least break even, but we have to spend some, money to do these events. The biggest one really is, we put on the budget was the Family Fest, because we're looking about $45,000 to spend on Family Fest. If we choose not to host that, and it will go down to, I believe, the budget was like 13.
Yeah. So, you want to just put that on hold for right now, and if you guys have strong feelings, email us about that and let us know, but for right now.
I think we need to make a decision, I would put it on hold. I
Okay.
mean, because if we're gonna do something for July, we need to know now. Because if we're not,
Yeah.
then that's okay, if that's what we choose to do. But if you are, they need to know that now, so they can start planning. So, I mean, me personally, I think the July Fest, Family Fest is a good thing. I know I've heard a lot of people comment over the last couple of years that they missed it and wish we had it. So, I'm good with it.
There's always an option to try to partner. I know that's how this sounds, but this was brought up by his staff, actually. There's an option to go in with rental parks and try to co-host the event. Now, I don't have any details on that, of course, but I don't know how you'll feel about that.
Well, I kind of live in Bryant, I'm just gonna get that out there. I mean,
I was waiting for that from somebody.
Well, that's me.
And the other part of that is they already have an event and they do it at the other end of their city, so it's not like they're going to want to merge to the middle of, you know.
So-
Sounds like it's not strongly one way or the other, so I say, move along, unless somebody
Okay.
else.
Okay, and so then, are we good to it? Are you wanting to add in $25,000 to, and obviously we'd have to bring these back to you guys in a more official capacity, but the $25,000 to explore doing the leasing on the equipment? Or do we want to wait until after the results come back in April on that as well?
All the results will change the outcomes there.
I have no way of knowing.
I can assure you when they come and look at our equipment.
They're gonna say it's broken, old and outdated, so I mean, to me, I
Don't
say
we-
we should go for it.
Go ahead and start that
I think we
process.
should move on that.
Okay, start the process, okay.
It's not really a top funding, we're looking for a study to tell us.
Yeah, that the treadmill doesn't work.
Yeah. We can
Now,
figure
what was the
that one out.
decision on the events? What did y'all say about that?
We're not doing the Family Fest, we're just doing our small events like the circus, bring up the circus here at Bishop Park, Monster Madness.
So
Are those revenue generating
Nobody else
events?
said yet, so I said.
Family
I'm
Fest,
fine.
breaking, what is it?
I don't know about that, I don't think you broke it.
Here's what I think we should do with that What is that, line item 30,000?
It does bring in.
Brandon had originally
It does,
put in
but it
number
doesn't cover
30,000,
it.
they've dropped it down to 13,000, but it's still 13,000 that's not funded.
Okay.
I mean,
It's not funded and it doesn't generate that kind of revenue.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't break even.
And that's what I think, these events that we put on like that, I think they need to show, I think we need to do a test, and it needs to show a return on investment. It should be, if not neutral, positive to the city, back to the city, and that, and there's ways to do that. Just, it's still a service to the community, but it allows us to do those programs because they pay for themselves. But that's my 2 cents on it.
Put it on the back house.
We are hoping to start that on February 1st. Right now, I think with the amount we are allowed, and Chris might know more, but I think we would still be 48,000 short. We would come up to 248,
Yeah, that's what I'm
to
saying.
248,
Yeah.
and we have 200,000 in the budget currently. We have an option to, do $1,078,000 on that and pay it off over 5 years, or just absorb it, for 48,000. I mean, unless we have something to bundle like the cars with it.
Well, but that was just for the building. If we're wanting to do the other stuff, that bumps the price up. It's like $350.
Yeah.
With the deck and everything in it.
Yeah.
Extension.
248 is actually just, it's basic.
That's what I just said.
Yeah.
It's just the building.
350 with the alternates. Now, we do have a 25% off negotiation that we could bring the price down about $70,000-$80,000 just to.
But we don't know, I mean, that's the negotiation for them. That's not a guarantee.
It could be 10,000, it could be something like that.
So, and one thing I'd like to ask y'all to give some input or some advice on this is if we did decide to do Amendment 78 funding, what other things could we bundle? And I'm not about you to bring back a business plan on if we borrowed this much money, it would be this long to where it's showing that Mills Park would or wouldn't cover that because of the expanded service. Because I know last year our sales went up a lot and our
It's
revenue
a
went up a
10
lot.
year.
It'd
It's
be
a
10 years.
In the 10 year will pay it off.
In 10 years, it would pay off that capital investment.
And
And that's just an option. but you
since
can
we're speaking
fund
of capital, one of the things that I have a big push for, is at Bishop Park, that flood mitigation study stuff. I've got a price about $22,000 for the engineer that did our hall case, has it all modeled. And what we basically would look at is how can we help control the flooding across the park so we're not having to buy $100,000 worth of dirt every year. That would be the end goal of that. And one of the issues, and I've stomped on ODOT's toes, is the dirt farm they're wanting to put up. I have a concern, do we want to go building stuff if we're going to try and figure out where we're going to dig trenches if we don't know where we're going to put trenches before we start building stuff? Because it seems to me that that's a good idea that helps solve a problem long-term reoccurring by figuring out how we can help control or mitigate the flooding. And if we're going to be digging trenches, we should probably know where we're going to put trenches before we start putting up other structures.
Exactly.
Chris, would that be addressed through this study?
No.
Okay.
No, what they're looking at is operational stuff.
Okay.
This is something that's engineering, and it's something I was working with Brandon on before, and when I was in the case, the hall case, and we cut that relief channel back in the back between the softball fields and the soccer fields. So when the creek gets up a certain amount, it flows through that channel. Well, I'm looking at doing some similar stuff, and I talked to the engineer about this, across, like between the baseball and softball fields where the water's sheet flowing across and taking all of our expensive dirt down to the railroad track, creating channels where the water flows where we want it to, where it's a reinforced or grass, where it's designed for water flow. And the engineer that I talked to about this, I mean, they've already shot all the grades out there. It's just a matter of running different options through their modeling program and doing some engineering work on it. So
Will that solve the flooding?
the engineer will say it will not solve it because some flood events will, exceed that. But what I think the goal would be is that for, 85 or 90% of our flooding events where the water is currently sheet flowing across the ball fields and taking out fences, channels could catch those.
We wouldn't have to be buying dirt anymore.
Or not as much.
Not as much.
Yeah. And instead of having to replace 6 or 8 inches of dirt, 2 inches of dirt on the ball field is the end goal. So, that's my only push from my perspective related to parks.
I think we're gonna pay out, looking to pay out the rest of the bathhouse, we need to go ahead and fix the whole facility like it needs to be fixed with the 350 instead of just
Get it done.
get it done, do the whole thing, we're gonna pay it out. Because we get our money back big time over there.
Yeah, and just because we put renovations in 2 years, our revenues has went up almost 400%.
And I think as beautiful as that pool will be, and as beautiful as the park that it's in, I think you can do some spring and fall use and use that pool as a venue, put some cool LED lights that and you can make that a really nice setting and use that as evening rental outdoor facilities for different things as well, and really expand what we're using that space for. And increase the revenue.
Or accessible park.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, the contract is signed, we're actually finalized who needs to pay what and everything, so we're good to go on there. We have actual fundraisers in coming place.
They're gonna fundraise the whole thing, correct?
I had lunch with the company that's doing that in Rogers last week,
Yeah.
and they were very excited about it.
Well, it looks good.
It does. I mean,
The way he drew it up looked good.
Yeah,
That looked
totally.
good. I'm excited about that. I think we're gonna do that. We're gonna, if that's gonna do, we need to finish it. Finish it cool.
Yeah, just do it right.
Here's what I would think, you're talking about bundling things, is let's look at, some of these projects, and say, all right, if we're gonna go to the bank and borrow money on some of this stuff, and one thing we're talking about, some fleet stuff, let's put it all together, because we can bid the banking out, bid the loan out, and probably get some better rates on it, and let's identify everything we wanna do, and, if we prepay some stuff and have to prepay or pay ourselves back out of the loan proceeds, we can do that even, but, just looking at all the different problems and issues we're dealing with, let's address them.
Yeah.
I mean, the playground, the time they were talking about 2 to 3 years. So in about a couple of years, they were expecting to build something, that no other city has in the state. It's really something that people will actually drive up to our Park to use the playground. And if you can tie it all together with the bathhouse building, the nice tennis court slides and everything, within the park that nobody has around.
In the study they're gonna do on Hunter, they're gonna be looking at improvements that we can do to
Yes.
generate, our ball fields are so close to being a premier ball field where we could throw in a bunch of these regional, national tournaments that are held all over the country. We lack just some shade shelters and a few things. And
Yeah,
Also,
definitely.
they're gonna look at that too.
Definitely,
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to include in the proposal to visit all 10 parks.
And Chris heard back from bond council that shade structures would be a 30-year bond.
I believe that's correct. yeah.
Really?
Really?
Fantastic.
I mean, as long as it's not like a tent,
No, they're,
So,
someone told me it was like 300,000. Does that sound right? To
It's
put-
about, I think
That's
that's about
about right.
400,000.
between that and repairing the
Just
sprinkler
say that
system
umbrella.
that's out there that needs to be repaired.
Think about that skin cancer, a minute, 300,000, that's cheap, Jerry.
Well, I'm just thinking about people getting hit with baseball.
Yeah, think about the baseball things on your
What
head.
happened last year?
Live a little, Jerry.
we could just rent helmets to all
You
the
could
spectators.
just buy umbrella.
Butch had a good idea, just give everybody an umbrella and a helmet.
Check out that umbrella when they come.
Rent them.
There you go.
But, you look how much money's generated.
I'm sure that's our
by
umbrella.
all those tournaments that are held during the summer. Hotels are full, the eating
And
establishments
if
are
we
full.
do not,
Just there.
if we don't continue to upgrade these facilities, I look at it kind of like, Arkansas or whatever in the SEC. These schools are updating their facilities every single day. And I don't want to see us get to where we have really nice facilities and then we don't have the money to maintain it. Kind of the spot we're in now.
We're gonna have one semi-decent park and 9 far as to just. grow up.
Exactly. You know, it's got plywood signs.
Yeah. Thank you.
That was the perfect segue into the A and P tax.
Hey, I'm with you, buddy.
So, yes, do you guys, I sent out my earlier A&P findings from about a year ago. Is that something that you guys want me to go back and get any more information or update my numbers? At that time, it didn't make sense to do it just for hotels, because we do not have enough hotels.
That's good.
Hotel Denver.
But
I don't want to do it for food also, but we also have to look at, before long, we gotta look at what our schools are gonna be doing. And they're gonna be asking for a millage, correct?
In 2018.
In 2018. If we come, you know, my question is, do we try to, I guess, we try to raise taxes? You know, my thinking with an AP tax, and I have some knowledge of what it's for, it could be a dedicated revenue stream to the parks, could build an amphitheater, could
you can put
do,
75%, that's what,
which is what-
that's, they're benefiting.
I know,
Which is the idea, if you do the A and P tax. and
But-
dedicate it to the park.
if we do 3%, you know, every time you go out to eat in Bryant, you're gonna pay 3% more.
3 cents.
Yeah. But I'm looking at that on top of our school situation. How many times can we go back to the people asking them for money?
Well, the A and P tax is something y'all can do. It's a council created, if I remember correctly, that's a council created thing. Y'all can decide, we're gonna do this.
That's what I was going to ask.
It doesn't have to be voted on. It's,
Oh,
the
really?
city council can just pass it.
You can create, I believe that's correct. I'll
It is.
double check. I think that's the answer.
I followed up that much of
The
it. I know
vote,
that.
the elections that we've seen in our community, in our nearby communities about that is in relationship to
Bonding the money. They have the revenue stream now to bond the money. If you wanted to take your A and P tax and build something, you would have to take that and have it voted on for them to say, yes, we want to pledge these revenues to this purpose over the next 20 years or whatever. But the actual creation of the A and P commission and collecting the thing is a council action.
We're the only city anywhere around here that doesn't have one.
I agree, and I think that that money's just, it's difficult because our citizens have to pay for it. And
It's just not them though.
But and we've seen it before, the percentage of food that's bought in this town that is bought from people that don't live here.
yeah,
And it's a large percentage.
It's one of the benefits of being a interstate city.
Yeah, it's a large percentage, so.
well, if,
You know, and the thing about an A and P tax is, if you don't wanna pay it, eat it on. You got a choice, it's up to you whether you pay the A
I
and P
know,
tax.
I know, and I am.
Nobody's
You
forcing
go to
you
the
to
net,
go
you're
up.
paying it.
Yeah.
I
you go
know
lower,
that, and I'm all for it. I mean, I've been thinking about this. My first thought was hotels only, just so where, when you took your kids or whatever down here to McDonald's after school or whatever, you weren't paying it. But it's not gonna generate enough income or enough revenue without it.
And
So-
they're gonna benefit from the parks being,
I feel 1,000% better knowing, see, I was concerned with the schools.
Yeah,
If we try to do that now, and then a year now, we try to raise the millage for the school, are people gonna just say, I'm done?
well,
You know?
I
What are you
think-
looking at me
I
like?
think, yeah, I think the big decision,
I'm
the big decision we're gonna have on A and P tax is figure
I have to
percent.
make sure.
3%, we might as well get it all.
And I'll tell you, when I called around,
Let me tell you something, if you go to Fayetteville, Arkansas today, your A and P tax in your motel is 13%.
Yeah, well, I've called several cities.
Here's the deal, I've stayed in a lot of motels, and I've called and made reservations, and I have never once asked them one.
I agree.
How much is your A&P tax?
I agree.
I said, how much is the room?
I agree.
And they say $89 plus tax.
When it's
Okay?
$120.
You
But
don't-
it's $130.
And I agree.
You don't ask what the tax.
I agree with
They're
all
gonna
of
do the same
that,
thing
but if we
McDonald's
put it
are
on
gonna have.
food, then we're gonna have a different viewpoint from the people that live here.
Well,
They're not gonna
but you
drive
can
it.
have. you
Where they
can
gonna
have-
drive and get it cheaper?
Well, I'm not saying they're gonna drive and get it cheaper, I'm just saying,
They're not.
But you can have, you can
are
have
they
two
gonna,
different
are we gonna
taxes.
get a big backlash from? And I'm sure we will,
You can have
but
two
is that
different
backlash
taxes.
worth it for the future of our
You
city,
can have
of our
a rate for
city?
motels
I
and
think
a rate
so.
Is it worth it losing an election next
Can you
year?
not?
I'm not worried about
Well,
losing
that's what I'm
Chris,
asking.
Oh, I don't
can you not
care.
I
have
don't
two
either.
rates?
Go ahead, sir.
This is
Yeah.
what's
Can you
best for
not-
the
Yeah, I'd lose an election over what's best for my city,
I don't know.
so.
Can you not have a motel rate and a food rate?
I don't know.
And the highest we can go on either one of them is 3% without a
See,
thousand
Benton's
acres.
1.5%.
1,000 acres, so our highest we can go is 3%.
Yeah.
We don't have any kind of idea of what the food would generate. I know you got the hotel because we had a pretty good idea.
I took it's on there, the food
Food
is
is
on
on
there. But they're old numbers, so they'll be even better now because our sales tax came in higher in 2015, so, you know, but, 3%.
I think Searcy was
highest we can go-
3%. I called around 4 or 5
Yeah, that's-
smaller cities and 3%. And I even asked one lady I talked to, what if we, you know, if we asked for half of it? She said, get it all right now on the front end, be done with it, because if you ever go back, it's gonna be a nightmare.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I heard too when I called
I
around.
suggested we go ahead.
I'd like to see the new numbers before I'm saying I'm in favor of it. I'd like to see the new numbers.
Okay, I will get those new numbers to you guys.
Y'all want to do it for me?
Okay.
Get them to for you, get them to for you.
Well, before we let Omar go, 'cause he's just got 2 minutes on his time, does anybody have any further questions on parks? I think we accomplished a lot. I've been taking notes. I'll send them out to everybody. But right now, we're moving forward with releasing of the equipment on hold for the other items, moving forward on Mills Park, open to look at Amendment 78 for funding it. And I think
What about the flood?
oh, yes, that's a good question. Okay, flood study. Yes or no to do before we get back the other study in April?
I think you gotta know, you know, I think if you're gonna do anything, that's, I mean,
That's
you don't
where it
plan,
starts.
yeah, you don't plan, you're, I mean.
That's the root problem, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
so, I mean, why keep putting
That's a
$100,000
no-brainer.
worth of dirt
There
in
you-
when you study it, figure out what you can do, so.
I would say fix the drainage.
You know.
We don't need ODOT coming in here in April
So
because it's all flooded.
I will bring all these changes to you guys at the January meeting. I will bring you the February meeting, so.
But I'm gonna go ahead and move, I'm gonna start moving forward with my guy, on getting him in line for doing the engineering stuff. So we can get him rolling on it. So we can identify.
And we're doing the engine, a while ago when you were talking about building the pole barn.
Yes.
Which I agree that we need. We just wanna make sure that we're putting the pole barn in the right spot before we go build a pole barn and then, dang, I didn't know that was coming.
Yeah, if you're gonna put in $25,000 worth of concrete and dirt holding poles, then
Let's make sure.
we're not gonna have to dig it all out because we need to run a 30-foot wide relief channel there.
I got you.
Okay, so that's a yes on the drainage study, bringing these amendments to you guys in February. Anything else for parks?
Are you getting the money in these now to do some of that maintenance work over there that got put on hold
Yes,
last
what
year?
we have in place now, we're going forward, all the meeting rooms, everything.
Alright, good. Well, they look bad.
That was the first thing, as soon as we got it approved, where all the walls being patched up and that started.
Thank you.
Yeah, we need some, we need to do some facing.
They're working on it.
We're working on with the sponsorship from them.
And that's what I made a note of, 75-25, 75 parks, maintenance, ongoing, 25% to advertising.
Well, and you need to put,
You think that
it
can
needs
get our
to
time
be,
fixed down in there?
a certain amount of it is for maintenance. We need to think about a certain amount of it is for maintenance. We've got
be done away.
Sorry, sir, we're closed. You know, like we've got the bishop, and we're having issues with maintaining bishop, so.
We can build
I'm
them.
not against doing any of it, but.
We can build it, we don't have the money to maintain them once we
We've
build
been
them.
not dedicated to.
Yeah, and that's what I'm
Maintenance and
saying.
improvement.
Yeah. Yeah, and especially in maintenance, we need a designated
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
income source for
Yeah.
maintenance. Because when you cut back on the maintenance, then that's where really your problem starts.
But, you know, you guys will get a lot of pressure when we pass that AMP to do that long list of capital. And so I'm just saying now, we need to be strong and
Well,
confident and say.
I'm saying
We
if-
gotta push a certain amount of this to just do that.
If we talked about it and we decided to do something with the AP tax, could not we wait until after that study to use some of that money, to use that tax to fund some of the things that come out of their study?
Yeah, and or a question, you know, if these come out of the study would be, a park this size, how much money do we need to go to?
There you go, exactly.
I'm going to look at
Write that down, that's a good question.
Yeah, how
I
much?
had it before.
So, you know, just, you know, big picture, all right.
Okay.
It's 7:02. Let's do this, council. We gotta, yeah. Thank you, Emma. Is JP here? JP's here.
JP's here.
Okay, JP, I'm sorry I did not get a chance to answer your email questions. Okay.
So she's gonna answer
You
you.
didn't apologize to me.
I did. July.
I couldn't answer my
And I'd like to say JT did one fine job reading to the children at the I just wanted to say that.
Big words and everything.
Well, there's one you stumbled on. I saw that one little girl help you.
He did that on purpose, just to make her feel.
And I met your wife too.
So,
It's better.
the July, September election planning, that's kind of loosely, that was me reminding us to talk about if we do, if the stuff gets paid off early and we want to, and Chris could probably speak more to this, do a planning for, changing that, that's what that's to remind us.
It's about the half-cent sales tax. It doesn't go away in 18, even if it pays off early, because it will then start paying on the second bond issue that much more. So an issue we need to figure out is, you know, I view that half-cent as a capital, but that's what we can build stuff with, money, because we can identify specific things to build with it and identify it as part of talking to people about.
All right, Dave.
Yeah,
There you
and
go.
that had been one of my suggestions, is since the Fire 3/8 is going so much for operations, you know, we have that half-cent that is paying off well. We don't want it, I don't think, going away, because once it goes away, I'm afraid the county's gonna want to pass a half-cent or something for sales, and then we're gonna be stuck. And we want to take advantage of identifying some specific projects that we need and can use, and, you know, people can wrap their minds around. So, and then the question is what's the timing when we want to do that? You know, I believe that's something you were talking about, we probably want to do that this year, the school's going to be doing millage next year, you know. Yeah.
And we need a clear plan of place to go with something like that. We need to be united. You know, I think we defeated ourselves the last time because we weren't united. So we need to do that on the front end, get all of our ducks in a row, be real clear. And the problem with, you know, the bond money is, it has to be 30-year assets. You know, it's got to be brick and mortar type items.
But
So,
a significant portion of it, there's a little in there,
A little, yeah.
little play for stuff, but for the most part, I mean, it's got to be, bulk of your money needs to go towards long-term projects.
so the fire station is perfect, clear, that works, but some of our other items that I think people get confused about that, they want to put those items into that bonding money.
They put their wish list on there.
And we can't do that. So
We
from
don't
the,
need to do any streets or any roads or anything like that. It's gonna be controversial. Fire station's not
We need to do what we were gonna do last time out here with the 3/8.
takes a fire
The fire station out, You know the one I'm talking about.
Well, and that's what we're talking about is.
But I don't want the people to be under the assumption again that something's gonna happen and then, you know.
Well,
Well, that's a little bit, I think you have a little bit more evidence of what that refinancing of this bond would do versus a projection of that very expensive, which I
You
have.
would actually create money.
Right, and I have a question about that too, when we talk about the 3/8 ongoing maintenance. Would that be enough if we built two new fire stations? Or will we still need all of that for, ongoing? I think that may be a question that we look at, but either way, I definitely think that, we should move this year and look at July. I'm going to disagree in saying that we don't need any roads. I think if we don't get something out of the airport, we're never going to get revenue built into the city. And I just think that we're going to continue to ask the citizens to pay for things when we can build up a business park or corporate climate that would pay for a lot of the things that we need in the city that we don't have the luxury of having because most of our citizens leave Bryant and go to work in other cities. So as part of that, I know we're in the fire department time, but I do want to say that I think that, if we do call for a vote this year, which I think we should, it should be July or as soon as we put a good action plan together, it should include a road to the airport, or at least part of it, or some part to get us going so that we can get some traction, because I know for a fact that we've lost some good opportunities that would have generated a lot of revenue in the city. And I think that's where we gotta look at that.
Well, so I think we're all in agreement, if I understand what we're putting here, is that fire departments are a worthy cause to consider the half-cent for it, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll put the half-cent over on the back burner and then we can deal with the rest of the fire issues.
Okay, so,
And then we discussed both of them, and we covered everything, but you've got on there payroll issues.
yeah.
Which I sent her an email and I said, God, that sounds kind of negative.
Sorry, that wasn't meant to sound,
Your
it
position,
wasn't meant to sound negative, but it was meant to
Yeah.
encompass also the possibility of step and grade too, so don't forget that. Well,
Okay.
you were thinking about the other one, but, we've got to think about that other too, because that's what we talked about earlier. So, you guys know what JP and I are talking about basically is, we've updated now JSEP to the 2015, but we haven't brought our step and grade, so that's a possibility that I know Mark and JP wanted to bring back to you guys. And then also JP has one exclusive to fire that he's brought to you guys, some paperwork on before, so.
And that's based on the 2011 JSEP.
Yeah, we were on 2011.
So these figures are based on that, and, I talked to you, this will be the fourth budget. You asked, back in 2012, what would I do to keep people here? And it would be, and I think I handed this out to you, I'll hand it out to you. It kind of shows our breakdown of our
It's about 68 degrees.
Tomorrow's class across from you.
So what you see there is 30 of our 48 sworn positions are in one rank, a firefighter. And typically, in a full-time department, you see underneath there, you see the cities with a driver engineer. You see that go from firefighter to a driver engineer position, captain, and then like a battalion chief. And we don't have anything in there. All of our firefighters are lumped into one group. And so there are half of them doing the duties of the engineer driver right now. And so that means that they don't really have anywhere to go until one of these positions up here, leaves or retires. And fortunately, we're a young department and we've got some people who aren't going anywhere for a while in those other positions. So that's where we seem to be losing our people. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years after we've invested some time and some money into them.
I was asked, you know, what would maybe make that better, and creating that rank would get half of them somewhere to go. And the figures at the bottom there, that is based on the current JSEP that we're on now. It's not based on if we update it. That figure is to do 15 of those positions out of the 30.
So it would be significantly more to take it up to current rates. And it would be a payroll adjustment, so it would be, no, I think that's in total.
That's it. That's for all 15.
For all
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
No, no,
no,
that's-
no, it's for all 15, but it would be more than that
Yeah.
because we would need to adjust it up to the 20, 15 rates or some, variation, because I assume that would be in conjunction or something with second grade, right? I don't know how those two would work, that would be at HR and JP.
What's that? I'm not understanding.
Well, if you do this, this would have to work in conjunction with your
Yes.
second grade.
And the second part of that is going back to how most departments are laid out. Like I said, you have a firefighter, you have an engineer or a driver who's responsible for driving the truck. And then you have a company officer who is responsible for that fire engine or that ladder truck and everyone on it. Does that make sense? They're in charge of that company, that truck company, that engine company. And what you see at most paid departments, you see that as the rank of captain. They don't have lieutenants. We have 9 lieutenants and 3 captains. So to make things still mesh with, across the board, with public safety, like patrolman is, equals across the board rank structure as a firefighter. To make all those mesh up, moving the lieutenants to the rank of captain. And to do that would cost $86,360, and that would make things equal as far as the rank structure. Because the captains and lieutenants right now are basically doing the same thing.
Additional
Hey,
86.
that's what I was gonna say,
No, no,
86
no,
and
no, that's,
total.
86 does both.
It says both, that gives us engineers and captains.
The question I have is, you're showing 30 firefighters, you're talking about moving 15 of them to driver engineer position.
Mhm.
So it appears that we've hit a class C. How did the 15 that are still firefighters ever move up?
In case one of these,
I mean,
like,
all of a sudden, you're either gonna have 15 that stay as firefighters, or you're gonna have 30 driver engineers.
well, no, if you only have 15 positions that for driver engineer, then only 15 of them can be that.
But what I'm saying is, still, no matter how you divide it, there's still the class C. If you come on as a firefighter, you can't move up to somebody gone.
Exactly. But that still is gonna break this up. These people who are coming on as a firefighter, they're gonna expect to wait 4 or 5 years until they become a driver. And by that time, we will be looking at maybe losing some couple people.
We got this, the firefighters for a long time.
And I just brought this to you for information, this is totally up to you guys.
You're saying it would cost how much?
To do both of those.
86.
Now, Joey said, if we could adjust revenues up, what would be your thing that you would like to spend money on? And it would be, sure, we have needs. I mean, I could spend $300 if you told me, hey, you got $300 more bucks. I could go buy something that we probably need. We have needs, but the fire stations are a main need, but it's me thinking of what we would need. This is more obtainable than asking, say, for a couple $1 million to build a fire station. You know what I mean? This to me is important for those 15 people.
You'd rather have this than rebuild the one next door, is what you're saying?
Well, 86,000 won't,
I know,
no. I mean, I'm looking at what you can do with what might be possible. I mean, I see it as
What's gonna be
possible.
our annual payment on the fire stations? On rough estimate?
Oh, I don't know, because our estimates are so different. Like, we have upwards of, what, 3 million on
Fire
one of them?
stations?
Yeah. You know what, to pay them off over 30 years,
3 to 4 divided by 7 versus 5.
I mean, and that's gonna all depend on your budget, you know what I mean? It's all gonna depend on your budget of what they're gonna be. And if we don't, I mean, you can spend as much as you want, but I know to build them for tomorrow and not just to get by today, you're looking at, I mean, you're talking about land acquisition,
Yeah.
engineering fees, it doesn't just, when you give a number, that's not just the building, you gotta figure in the engineering, geotech, the land acquisition, property clearing, architectural fees, all that. So,
And then like Carlton brought up too, increase in maintenance on having additional.
yeah, there'll be
In
new,
a fire station, you have firefighters and trucks and equipment.
well, you don't have to, but if you build them big enough, you could. But, I mean.
We have fourth station.
Yeah, if we had a fourth
Like,
station.
If you can get that fourth station, where you have additional equipment and staff.
So, I hate to do it, but I mean, to keep us on track.
Well, I was gonna ask Charlotte, you know, from an HR perspective, I know, no point in dragging from the fire hydrant. As we talk about this, you know, not a lot of other things, but, you know, as we look at this, I think it's important, you know, I haven't heard much from HR whether or not this was something, you know, that they have looked at or not, and if this has any other effect on any other departments as we look at doing something different here. So, and I don't want to put you on the spot. I mean, if you haven't had a chance to look at anything, I mean, I think that's important.
This was just presented to me today, so in terms of those kinds of details, no, I haven't gotten to look that far. In general, I don't shy away from concepts like this, because to me, if the only way up is out, you're not helping your organization. And so if they have nowhere to go, and I think probably the closest department to it, off the hip, would be police. I don't know that they're structured the same way, but if you're asking if it might affect other people, I would say I'd probably look at police first to see how everybody's structured out in there. They're another step of grade department and all that stuff. And I don't know the answer to how they would shake out and how they would compare, but I don't shy away from concepts like this. And I certainly see Chief's point about, you know, if he was given $100,000, what he could actually do with it that would have the best benefit to the organization and turning some towards the employees. I'm not gonna tell you to shy away from it. That's what I could give you today. I don't have specific.
Sure, and like I said, I didn't know how much of this that you had seen or looked at, and that's.
Didn't I see somewhere where a firefighter starts off at like $8 or something an hour?
But this is something that was, you know, the council of 3 or 4 years ago wanted to know about this, and so I keep bringing it up every year, and realizing that it may not happen, but I feel like I need to bring it up every year, you know, because it's kind of important, and if it can't happen, that's the fact of life, it just can't, and that's what I tell them when we move on, March on.
And we budgeted 2016, 2011.
Yes.
Just correct.
Well,
So anything additional with this 46,000, 86,000?
it would be more
On
than
top
that.
of that.
But that's also a question for HR, because I'm not sure how, because we didn't do step and grade. And then step and grade moves independently of this. So step and grade is still at 2011 or 2013?
I believe so, isn't it, Chief, 2011?
2011, step and grade is still at 2011. So I would think this would go with step and grade, which then means it would be at these rates, but with the expectation, I would think, that you would want to move your step and grade up. And that's a whole other.
Different volume.
Yeah, and that's a.
Because that's adjusting everybody.
Yeah, that's a huge commitment there, but something you guys need to be aware of. I mean, I just bring it up because, you know, that's something, you know, that's out there. Because that kind of is, that starting at 857 or whatever, that's a function of that 2011. So, anyway, I know, like I said, I hate to do it, but I want us to get behind, so we need to move now to police. If anybody doesn't have any further questions on fire.
And after you look at that, anybody, just call me if you want to discuss that in depth more when we have more time to think about it, but, you know, she just said, hey, if we can, if you had some money, what would you like to do with it for your department? That's what I would do, but if it can't happen, we go on, that's the end of that.
I have one quick question. We only had 2 fire stations on there, and this one was getting almost as bad as the one on the other side of town. Are we not, how long do you think this one's gonna last before we have to do something? Do we not need to look at it now, if we're looking at putting fire stations in the bond money? Or using the bond money for a fire station?
This one, that would be one of the 2 that we would
That's one of the
initially.
2?
Yeah.
So we're not adding the 4th one?
Not now, no. No,
Or
we're
just
just,
start with at least 2?
we're just, we gotta replace the 2 we've got now that are dilapidated.
That had, you know, one said Ward 1, Ward 2, this is Ward 3.
Oh, I'm sorry. So which one needs to be changed?
I need to recast my vote.
Oh, man.
When it said
Come on,
Ward 1, I
Butch.
thought you were putting a new one out there.
Come on,
Off the
Butch.
Snooks out there where we're putting that,
Okay.
that landing.
I'm sorry.
And what do I scratched my head on it? And then I just went on.
That's
If you wanted
why,
to go ahead and build it, hey, I'm all for it.
Just gotta pay the light bill.
Okay, I've changed, I've corrected. Ward 1 needs to
2 and
change.
3.
Ward 3.
So it's 2
She
and
needs
3.
It's 2 and 3.
revote when.
That's all we
Where's the
got.
That's okay, I voted number 1.
No, actually, Roy is 4.
Okay.
What? Hey.
Once apparently I voted for him, so
Yeah,
it's
but
all
I
right.
thought Roy is in Ward
I would
4.
Okay.
suggest, Joy, that you send that ranking out to all, aldermen and myself again, and give everybody time to sit and study
And
that.
really digest.
And really digest that,
Yeah.
and let's scrap that, that's a pretest.
My vote was
Test.
final. I don't wanna know.
Oh, you don't know?
I don't wanna
Okay.
retake.
Okay, we have to use.
I mean, I set the curve, I got the bell. I mean,
I heard it ring.
Yeah.
I heard you ring it.
yeah, I mean, good luck.
Okay. And, okay, police. Mark?
Yeah.
Thanks,
See you,
Chief.
Chief.
Have a good night.
Thanks, Chief.
See you, bud.
Traffic circle.
Oh, man, we didn't go there.
I'm telling you.
I mean, it's controversial.
I didn't wanna.
I think it's because he had to go back out and get.
Have we
fixed.
fixed it?
Yeah,
Have we
it
fixed
got all,
the
I
stop-
didn't-
it's all Joy's fault. If you
It's
just
all
make the
my
font
fault.
bigger, he would have been agreeable.
Have I fixed the stop sign issue? You wrote like 60 tickets in like a sec.
I appreciate it.
No, sir.
No, they have ruled the south side of town.
Are you getting calls now about the amount of tickets?
I'm sure.
No, the good thing is, one of the guys that they stopped the very first day that was blowing through stop signs over by my house, his wife's been calling complaining about.
That's awesome.
That's
That's
always
the way it
works.
is, yeah.
Has been calling the police department complaining about everybody speeding and how they're driving and everything, and they stopped her husband.
That's trouble.
They wrote him up too, he didn't get a warning,
You didn't know either.
not till later.
Okay, hold on. Fences at 2 tomorrow?
I think they should.
What?
Are you on Netflix?
Okay.
Look at her ticket, but
City ordinance generates whatever revenue it
I've got 3 things on the list for
is.
you.
He only had 2 in the email. You surprised me with the third.
Well,
And I sent you an email asking questions. You
They're on
never
2 on
responded
there.
back.
I
There's
know.
3,
I've
hey.
been in meetings
That's-
all day.
yeah.
It's been like
Yeah,
that.
she'll
I
send
think
an
there- I
email.
think there's
What
a
do you guys think
trend
about
here.
this? And you respond back and meet, and you're like,
Done.
all I know is you got 7 minutes.
Yeah, you're burning your time.
I'm
up.
trying.
Well, let me say this, the vehicle proposal, I'm not ready yet. I told you I'd be back the first quarter. I mean, guess it's gonna have to happen this year. There's a lot of data to compile to bring y'all, with some reasonings of what we're wanting to do. I think 4 years ago, we bought 34 within the 28, so we're trying to reduce it. As well as we're looking for equipment we can refurbish, send back to the manufacturers, and for about half price, refurb it, get another warranty. Like our video cameras, we pay, I think it's $550 a year for a warranty on every video camera. Well, it covers it no matter what happens, we send a part back to replace it. Costs us about $4,500 a year. If I can refurb those for $1,200 or $1,300 versus buying them new for $5,800, and they haven't changed technology, they're not gonna change technology, we would be stupid not to do that. It's just saving money. I'm gonna have to buy a few of them, because some of the cars I'm gonna try to keep. I'm looking at adding officers to the end of the year, next year, keeping, 4 really good cars for spares to put new officers in, so they're not driving new cars. So this process is ongoing. I have it laid out. It's probably 80% done. I'm working on most of the day today. And I'm not just looking at the police department, I'm looking at the city as a whole. Now, some of the water vehicles and street vehicles, some of the money's separate than our regular budget. And plus, I don't have anything the street department could use, but maybe a car for the secretary to drive. That's pretty much it. But I do have stuff that parks can use. I do have stuff that the city hall can use. I do have stuff that every other department can use. So, but we're looking at where it can go from there. Do I have cars that will last another year and a half? Yes, I do. What will they be worth in a year and a half? Won't be nothing. But they're worth a lot right now, because they're at that mileage point. Well, you know as well as I do, I'm not.
There's a time.
Yeah, there's a time limit. We're at that time limit where they're still good for 5 years for somebody else. If we use them for a year and a half, they're junk.
Do we have, I know I saw it one time, and I want to say it was either police or fire, but a program of how we're going to maintain, or how we're going to replace vehicles on a regular.
This is some of this, that's what I'm doing. This is
Instead of going out 1 year and buying 40 vehicles, every year we're replacing 1 or 2 or 3, or however that works out.
It depends on how you put the pencil and paper to it, the mathematical figures. If we replace 80 a year, I think it's gonna take 8 or 10 a year. The payment would take to buy the 8 or 10 police vehicles a year, you can make a payment by the 28 that we need.
Yeah, but you're working on a plan to where we're continuously
Yes.
rotating our inventory,
Yes.
getting rid of them while they still have some value.
And to give you an instance, the Dodge Chargers, most of them right now, my fleet's got between 55 and 65,000 miles. I'm having tremendous maintenance issues on them. I'm having top-end motor failures. Right now, they're in warranty. They go out of warranty in April, and this cost me between $3,000 and $4,000 to fix the top end of these cars.
Any of those we had?
We've got 4 of them that we've had issues with, and there's a known problem within the police fleet.
Charging.
Yeah, it cost me $185 to power steering fluid went on. You gotta remove the inner fender out. I mean, just some of the stuff they did, they made it where we can't, it's not fleet friendly, unless you have a fleet that's been trained to do it. So we're looking at some issues and trying to bring y'all a positive plan. I mean, yeah, we still gotta buy cars.
Yeah.
And we're trying to reduce it to the number as best we can and bring it to you and try to, roll something out positive. With the plan, I think we're doing code enforcement of 2 trucks. It's got like 60,000 miles on them. That'll last them 4 years. That'll last till we redo our fleet.
Right.
And they're still good. If we keep them another year and a half, they're gonna have 85,000 miles and we're.
Right.
And that's what, we don't want that. I mean, right now, we still got something usable. As far as the personnel issue, me and Chief Jordan talked this morning, trying to get some ideas. I think we're gonna try to meet Friday. I think he's going tomorrow. And our step and grade needs to be adjusted, there's no doubt. But we're looking at the middle tier and top tiers, I think we're good. Me and the captain, lieutenant sit down and look at it. It's our bottom tier, it's our entry level positions, that's what's killing us. And that's, we're not been able to, retain employees.
Do police officers start at the same thing that firefighters start?
Yearly salary they do without overtime. And it was originally designed, and I think, when you said a while ago, those firemen make $8 an hour, they work 24-hour shifts. And they have built-in overtime, is that correct? Or to a certain point, you'll have built-in overtime?
Yes, to a certain point.
Okay.
Police don't.
Okay.
We're basic hourly rate until you reach 168 hours. And from 168 to 171 is your magic window. After 171, I have to pay overtime. That's federal law. But all my officers, they are scheduled for 168 hours a month. And that gives us 3 hours a month for full time. Do they go over? Yeah, they go over special events, working parades, working, numerous things. Yeah, they do go over. But we want to try to get our entry level up to retain new employees. And we have the same problem the fire department does. You know, you can be a police officer in our department for 10 years, not going anywhere. Our department is new, our rank structure is new. You know, our lieutenants, you know, I've got lieutenants that will be there another 10 years for their thing. I've got sergeants that want to move up, there's nowhere for them to go. I mean, it stinks, but that's the way it is. You know, a lot of the guys do go to other departments because there is advancement movements. You know, you go to narcotics, you can go to sex crimes, you can go to financial crimes, you can do all this other stuff. We don't have it. And I don't see us doing that stuff for a long period of time. So with that being said, you know, we want to bring the entry level up, get it to where it's comparable, to where they start and they can go, they can look at Little Rock or Benton and say, hey, their pay's real close.
Yeah.
But what we're also doing is going one step further and look at the benefits package. I mean, to give you an idea, the sheriff's department, we start off right at 30,000 right now. We're starting off at 28 some change. But if you have to take family insurance, it's $460 a month. And all of a sudden, I mean, that money's got to come from somewhere. I mean, it just does. So we're trying to look at all aspects and try to bring something positive back to y'all. Along with that, with adding some more positions, because we've had 5 to the shift now for 9 years. And the city, look how much it's grown in 9 years, so we're still trying to catch up with that. So yeah, we do need to add some officers. What else did you have on my list?
That was the one that was adding the officers. It was
Yeah.
just, I had those two separate items.
You know, we've got a unique position right now to add somebody to a task force, a federal task force. Would it bring us any money in? Absolutely not. Would it give us help if we need it? Yes, it would. You know, they provide the cars, the fuel, they provide all the overtime the officer can spend. But we've got to fund the officer position itself. And you know, I don't know if y'all can give me an answer until the first quarter's over with. But that position was, you know, they come to us and asked us, you know, who's like for y'all to be a part of it. There is a few positions like that in the state. This one here is the U.S. Marshal. We also have DEA, and we also have IRS. The IRS and DEA can generate money, but they just froze the equitable sharing program, so they're not giving any funds back. We was receiving average 5,000 to 15,000 a year of some of those seizures. We would turn over to federal and get it back. Since they froze the equitable sharing, we won't get none of that money. So that's his a little bit, but that money was not used for everyday operations. That's the reason they don't want you to use it for everyday operations, in case they do freeze it, and they did. And I think it'll be froze this time for 5 to 7 years.
But the big thing is getting us on a vehicle rotation program, maybe you call it, or where we're constantly moving our fleet
Yeah.
forward. You know what I'm trying to...
Yeah, I do. And,
Okay.
You know, it's you know, I know when we brought this 4 years ago, you know, this is our 5th year in these cars. You know, everybody's like, oh my God, why don't we have about 34 cars? And you know, and I understand that, I do. But they just want to give us $300,000 by cars. But you can make the payment on the 34
Yeah.
with the money you're giving me.
Yeah.
And it would take me 6 years to replace those cars. And I've got cars that had 100,000 miles that was just junk.
The problem with doing that, and it's a good idea, but the problem with doing it now is you're in a situation where you bought all these cars at the same time. Now you need to get rid of all of them at the same time or close. And if you say, okay, we're gonna get rid of 5 of them, we're gonna keep 20 of them, well then, by the time you keep those 20 for another year or two, then you might as well run them out to this dump and leave them.
That's right.
So, you know, you lose value that you have by trying to, if you're gonna do that, you'd almost need to buy 20 cars and trade 5 of them in next year.
We're gonna be getting rid of several cars. It's more than 5. And also us playing with eGov and watching the sheriff's department play with eGov and what the cars were bringing. You know, the sheriff's department cars was a lot worse than ours. They're bringing 6,000 to 7,000 apiece.
You were gonna let us know the return on the,
Yes.
Tahoes compared to the.
We can't afford for the new Tahoes? That's the other question. I'm not even gonna bring it to you. The Tahoes went from $25,800 apiece to $34,000 in 4 years. You know, what we're looking at going to this year, you know, we're looking at, you know, in all reality, the problem that we're
What's wrong
having
with
is, you
Fiat? I have
know,
one.
we're needing to stay in something sport utility style. Right now, the Ford Interceptor's the #1 seller. It's a little utility vehicle, but it's all-wheel drive. You know, we don't get a lot of ice or snow, but when we do, you know, we're trying to figure out what they're gonna drive because there's not enough cars from the drive. So those cars right now are about 25.8, 26.3 apiece. And they carry the 5-year, 100,000-mile warranty. Ford tried to cut it out, and they got too much kickback from the fleet companies. But those will probably will go to.
I think
We can't afford
those
it.
will also be more versatile when they're passed down to other departments too.
Yeah.
And then a lot of departments that need Tahoes, so that's
Yeah.
another advantage to that new vehicle as well. And another reason that I don't think's been mentioned or not for the larger number of vehicles as far as the fewer number of vehicles each year is the technology.
Mhm.
And the technology needs to be the same across the board, so when we upgrade a larger number of cars, we're taking care of that same, that other piece that's got to be married together at the same time, so.
So we're gonna try to do it as cheap as we can and try to get some numbers together. It just takes time. When you start doing, you know, 28 cars, where they're going. And we've actually reached out to some companies to start giving us bids, not official bids, but to give us an idea where we're gonna be in the ballpark. Because once it goes out to bid, they'll all get pretty greedy. But we wanna get an idea of where we're gonna be at when we go forward. And plus, I think it'll help the fuel miles too, going forward versus the other ones.
So what do you need on that position? You're saying you have to know something by the end of the first quarter?
I've sweet talked them. I was supposed to know something in November, and I've sweet talked them and kind of keep them going. Because I knew that y'all wanted the budget to be tough. You know, and I'm gonna ask y'all, and I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna ask y'all to do a position for years. But I'm gonna have cars ready for them, and I'm gonna have, you know, all I'm gonna have to do is fund the position. If it's this year, if it's half the salary. But we have not added officer positions other than school resources in a long time.
How much money you need for the task force officer?
The starting pay officer, actually, we didn't do starting pay, we don't want to send in a brand new officer, we said we want to pay somewhere similar to the corporals, that way you get a seasoned officer. And we wouldn't send somebody to them that's got 3 years experience, it's going back to be somebody that's good. And you ask, what does the U.S. Marshal, how could they benefit us? I'll give you a prime example. Walmart, Matco was robbed by gunpoint, or excuse me, that was a different one. Walmart was robbed. The woman walked into Walmart to cash a check and send money by wire transfer. She had 2 people behind her noticed that she had a large amount of cash. She took the money and ran, or those 2 took the money and ran after she went to Molly's to eat dinner. We contacted the U.S. Marshal's Office. They have a lot of technologically advanced stuff that we don't have. Within a matter of a couple hours, we was able to get every text message sent within a certain time period within that triangulation period. Yeah. So, I mean, and we had 2 people in custody within about 8 to 10 hours. We might not have ever got custody. So, I mean, that's the stuff they can help us with. If I have a homicide tonight, I've got 2 detectives. I can call the task force and I'll have 8 people here. If I'm serving high-risk search warrants or whatever, if I need surveillance, that's what they're there for. But, I mean, I'll be glad to try to bring it to council next week.
And there's some other benefits that come along with the officer, right?
35,000 plus its benefits, you're probably talking about 48,000.
And would we get anything else?
They buy us a brand new car,
Okay.
and we get a brand new car. The way they said it works, if they get some federal equitable sharing money, which they still get, we don't, they're liable to look at him and the car's ours. So let's say in 6 months you say, hey, this ain't working out, the car stays ours. All the equipment, everything they buy for. But we might get a car out of them every year. I know that when the Sling County did DEA, they got a car by every 16, 18 months. The only people that has officers in this position is state police, Sherwood, and Little Rock. in this area, so we'll be.
I hate to do it
Yeah.
again, but we gotta stick on, he got started late, we're already 10 minutes behind, so, any further questions on police? Okay, all right, Greg, you're up.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Can you make sure Jerry gets a car with a light bar on it, just, so, you know, at least to get rid of?
Delete those text messages.
Chandler's looking up his text messages, make sure he didn't get his.
No, they're, I can tell you what they're looking at.
I don't know
Yeah. No, it's, I don't think it's anything that couldn't be said.
Oh, it's a deer. Oh, my goodness. Really?
Are you kidding?
Huh?
Wow.
Oh, those Spring Hill deer.
Yeah, spring.
It looks like a Bishop Park deer.
That's what I'm saying, that looks like.
I got them in my, I got them in my backyard just like that. I got 15 going out.
I've got pictures of
I've got
Kind of
cars.
like the one they got over there also.
I got his picture of it dead.
No.
He's gone. Oh, he's gone.
Oh, is it? The one that got ran over?
No, he's the one that got turned into about 60 summer sausage links.
About.
Get an arrow stuck in it or
About.
something? Don't know.
He was just eating that sauce.
Oh, okay.
He had a tragic accident.
Yeah.
Slip and fell.
Well,
Okay, I think at the last meeting that Greg's time may have gotten cut short again. So, yeah, okay.
You know, the vehicle question is totally related to the police department, what we do with their fleet. We've got a couple picked out that we would like to purchase from them, if we replace their fleet. If they don't, we'll limp ours along until that happens. I think that's the best route for us. I mean, I don't have any reason to go buy brand new trucks or Rangos or whatever, when I can buy theirs with $50,000, $60,000. So that's what we're looking at doing. If y'all approve a new fleet for them, it's fine. A couple of theirs for lease. Payroll-related items, I'm not sure, Joey, what you.
Well, we had
discussed
some
with that.
questions about that. I think, was it you, Butch, who brought up an additional person?
Well, yeah, I just was wanting to know if you needed another person, because of how much we're growing and how busy everybody's staying.
We've needed another person for several years. Mayor and I discussed this year, maybe even doing part-time, 2 or 3 days a week to help. But we didn't put it in the budget. We want to keep it as clean as we could to start with, and then as we see how things shake out, maybe we can go down that road. But we do need another person.
And,
How much money is another person? Roughly.
Benefits and everything, probably 40,000. Starting out.
and what that did make me think of too, I don't know, I haven't talked to anybody else about this, but, when thinking about the A and P this year, and the potential there for administration of the A and P, you'd probably have to add at least one other person. And more than likely, it would dovetail closest in with your stuff.
Well, we have had different duties that have come along through years, and it's come to us, but it probably would be best to follow with us, since we do stay up with the business license, permits, and all that kind of stuff.
So that's something to kind of think big picture, administration of that. And I think Sherwood was the smallest one I looked at, and they were the ones that only added one employee to do theirs.
We could probably get by with that. I've got 2 very efficient secretaries between the police records clerk and code enforcement clerk that could probably work that into their time to do the administrative part of it without hiring that.
So we'll surrender 25% of the agencies to code instead of say.
Right, no, 25 go.
Yeah, you can,
They think it
On commission.
you've got to set it up like that, yeah. So, we'd have to look at it, so,
I think, man, that's something like
There you go,
Yeah, it's just 25.
It's called.
Well, we're not going to 9 o'clock.
That's after 7, that's
We need to adjourn now. That's for that fuzzy man.
That's some of my 15 hours already been up today, man. That's what Hello.
That's what we were discussing.
And would that be a part-time or full-time?
Well, I tell you, we discussed putting on someone part-time, we could use someone full-time, but, you know, I wanted to wait and see how things shake out with the budget, and let's see what money's available, and if we can hire a full-time person, that's what I would rather do. I mean, we're at the size and point now that we can.
We have 3
I'm
now,
down
you
to
and
this
2 others.
department
Yes.
is, they're.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot of ground to cover.
Yes.
And I think you know, with a lot of the code enforcement issues that we've got to stay right on top of, it's not, it is about having a clean city, but it's also about being proactive to keep a safe city, to have a strong code enforcement department. I mean, you can have a lot of things code enforcement. I've seen that in other cities. Judge Eric has talked to me about that a lot, and even if any of y'all want to talk to me about that, I encourage you, not to do the church stuff. But I also think even if we just do, if we rather do it part-time, I like part-time, if we just do it part-time, I think the return on that investment, would be, we would see that, because we've been some trouble on Saturdays and on weekends, and not getting out, it makes a big difference for us.
Because we're basically shut down on the weekends, right?
Oh, we are.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of our problems are,
That's
that
right.
need to be addressed,
Yeah.
and we don't have the resources
And
to
people
address
know
those
they can
now.
do work on weekends, we're not around.
Well, y'all, there's 3 of y'all, right?
3 total, yes, yes.
Well, that's 1 weekend a month.
I'm usually here anyway.
And we might add that Jerry doesn't work, so he's away.
I thought Jerry's been driving around anyways looking for trouble.
Well, you may have fought there.
That's our, you know, we don't spend a lot of money. Our basic needs are, we do need another person, and we need some vehicles.
So if I understood you right, you don't think you need someone if the A&P tax is implemented to bring in part-time to help?
We can handle it. We're just that kind of people. We just ask the mayor, she gives us a task, it's done. We have to work weekends, we do it. Because I've got 2 great guys that will work 24/7, if that's what we have to do. And we do.
There's no
But I think there's
part-time
enough
person,
office, I think we have enough office staff to do the administrative part of it.
even with the A&P tax.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Really, that would be,
They're all
really,
down.
with your alcohol tax collections and fee collection stuff, it's not really a new, it's just, it would be more, it would be.
Well,
another
we've
way-
got all that in our system. It's so simple.
I'm not sure if we're talking a full-time or part-time officer that we didn't need to think about a part-time office person.
No,
You're saying the officer position full or part-time would be more important.
No, we've got the office stuff.
Because quite frankly, if the office gets that busy, pull one of them off the streets and go in there and do some filing.
Yeah.
Do what she says.
That was happening, I told them.
They have done it.
With, honestly, with our IWORK system, the way we've got a business license set up and the tax and everything in there, I don't think we'd be.
Okay. I just want to make sure I understood that correctly. That
Nightmare, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
With IWORK, I think it'd be very simple to add that tax. And collect it on a monthly basis, just like we do with the tax.
And we're doing liquor tax with all of them. And I work, so it works.
All right. Anything else? Okay, thank you, Chris. Is Ben still here? Ben's here. He's hung on to
Talk about stormwater,
hung
yeah.
on to the bitter end.
Joy will make sure and rotate the schedule next time. So
Do I have
if it
7
lasts this
minutes or
time,
is
we'll
it
go
down
from
to 3 now?
No, you still got 7.
Yeah, you can take some of my time, because I moved mine to the front, so it's
Well,
okay.
the extra sheet on has you had 5.
Yeah, I got added late.
I just wanted
take this opportunity while we're meeting like this about projects and funding. One of the things that we're looking at in the stormwater is how do we, address this list and start to take care of some of these, long-standing complaints and calls that I get in on some of these. You can see there was one I'm still waiting on Les to give me an estimate, but I was looking at it again, and it's about like a quarter-mile run and just 36-inch inadequate. It's not functioning that well. Drainage pipe in the Dogwood subdivision, there's a pretty big system in there. And then on the second page, me still being in favor of, establishing a stormwater utility for Bryant. I just did some calculations and extended it out. But if you get it 3 and 6, 3 and 6 is what the city of Hot Springs, has established, and it's court tested and approved. That basically they were saying to establish a stormwater utility, there is justification for that, because we're covering two things. Really, we're funding the stormwater department with our 6 requirements that, that we do to meet 82 EPA standards. But we're also looking at replacing old infrastructure, drainage, looking at some that was never probably built right in the first place, and trying to get some money available so we can do some engineering studies and start to get a plan and get some of this stuff fixed. But just a few notes about stormwater utilities. There's now 1,400 stormwater utilities set up throughout the United States. They're now present in 39 states in the union. Like I said, they've been proven to be legal, very much acceptable as a way to fund an unfunded mandate, from EPA judge. And their requirements are just going to get more stringent in the years that we go forward. They're not really going away. They're just, but from our standpoint, the work that we do in the stormwater department, it really makes the construction, it makes them adhere to basic principles that keep our city clean, it keeps storm drainage functioning properly, because runoff sedimentation from job sites is one of the biggest, and my guys, I got 2 helpers, they really do a good job of staying on top of these contractors, and they won't go away. They'll sometimes call Bud, Alan, Carver, Greg to help us out in some of these, but we really do a good job of staying on top of these builders. We check commercial sites, we inspect all the detention basins. I think you had a question that come up on that, but we cycle through all the detention basins, and there's one for every subdivision, so it's a big list to look at. But we do work very hard to ensure Bryant's cleaner, the environment's healthier, the systems are functioning properly. We're trying to prevent flooding, issues like that. So I just want to say it's a 2-part call on there. We're taking care of funding our stormwater department. We're also, which benefits everybody, everybody needs to. And also looking at a way to begin addressing some of the drainage problems that we have. That last one I put down, I'm guessing that one being such a big linear project is probably going to push us to the 4 mil. I mean, that's yeah, that's pretty big, and it's 36-inch pipe. But there's one poor lady that lives where this all begins in her house. I mean, her concrete's all cracked, and on her driveway, there's water coming out of but I don't know where they're going to. I mean, it's such an old system, we can't even get a camera up in there to look at, where some of this is going. So, anyway, I just wanted to bring that, back up as a.
I think it's very The $3, $6 charge passes. Oh, I don't know if that's an option. We can pass that on, it'll be something we have to do.
I mean, and my feeling is, when you look at some of these projects, some of these items that need to be corrected, go back years.
That's
years,
right.
Years. And I mean, so my feelings are, the longer we sit here and say, well, how are we gonna fund this? Only the cost is gonna go up and only the problem's gonna get bigger.
And nothing's
And I
ever
mean,
gonna be fixed.
nobody wants to pay $3 more, nobody wants to pay $6 more. However, at this point, these are some issues that need to be addressed.
And like you said, it's an unfunded mandate, it's something the EPA says, you gotta do this, okay? And we have two choices, either take it out of the pot, really doesn't need it, or there's nothing in it, or get it from where the problems come from.
And one of the issues that I was raised is about fairness of commercial, just the impervious surface. You know, Walmart paying the same as Paul Lynn's up here. And Ben and I have been talking about this, and one of the things that I have issue with is what's a legal range of justification for the fee structure. What I would think is if we establish the 3 and 6, well, now we have a revenue stream, we can actually hire somebody to come in and say, here's give us some data to support a fee structure necessarily on commercial property, say, hey, you know, you've got 10,000 square feet of asphalt out here, you're gonna pay more than someone who has 500 feet of asphalt.
2 acre parking lot, which is placed over the Walmart. You'll get 10 to 20 times the runoff from that as you will an area, a grass area, the same size. The 1 inch rainfall, you get, I think it was, 156,000 gallons.
They produce a lot of floatables or trash. EPA calls it floatables. They produce a lot more of that than a residential.
But if we have a revenue
If they
stream
don't want-
coming in.
If they don't want to pay more, then put in,
Impervious surface.
yes,
Or impervious surface.
perfect service.
Well, and here's my thing. I know the 3 and 6 sounds strange, but from the legal standpoint, the fact that it's been up to Arkansas Supreme Court, that's real close to the tree, that's supported. Now, if we want to go off on this branch on commercial, okay, we can use that revenue stream to hire some people that study this stuff and can give us those numbers, that then we can make a legitimate, intelligent decision of why we're selecting this fee structure for these type of surfaces, and then we're in a better position to go buy it later.
I like that, Mike.
10 to 20% more, or 10 to 20%.
Time.
10 to 20 times
Right.
as much.
Well, so, I mean, and, so I think,
That lends itself to us reducing our parking requirements for businesses too, the number of parking spaces that are here as well. And that's a way to balance that, is to require less.
You're gonna have to come to DRC with me, because I brought that up in there, and they took too big.
Reduce the number of spaces?
Yep.
Oh, come on, it's a lot
I'm
harder
serious.
if we do that, get that done.
Yeah, I think
There's too much
letting
parking.
business to figure out how many parking spaces.
Right.
Exactly.
Right, anytime you're asking a business to put in more parking spaces than what they want, because they know how many they need to
At their
make
peak
their business
time.
work. And then you also, you need to be looking at how we can share parking, like if you've got a church should never have standalone parking. They should have shared, they should be oriented in such a way that other businesses that are there all the times, but Wednesday night and Sunday, can use that parking as
Well,
well.
we've shared ours with the school, First
That's a
Baptist, for
perfect
years and
example.
years and
That's a great
years.
example of great use of
We
parking.
use theirs
Mhm.
during Sunday, and they use ours during the week.
you have any maintenance agreements?
Sir?
You have a maintenance
Yes,
agreement?
we do. I always did have.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing, is you gotta have that maintenance agreement in place, because you're gonna look at, you know, how much.
Sharing.
So, okay,
Well,
so,
I wanted to get everybody out of here by 8 o'clock, so we might be just a little bit over, but at the very end, I was gonna say, the census is currently in the 2016 budget. So, we'll redo the document that I had you guys do earlier. The radio towers are not in there, but that's something I want everybody to keep on the back of their mind, and if anybody has any questions about that, let us know. Carpet's in there, roof is not in there, but we may be able to just bring, I'm hoping the roof, to fix it, not to replace it, would be a small enough amount to just bring that as a budget adjustment. On a positive note, right now, ending 15 is looking pretty good. I'll be bringing that to you guys to next week's meeting, and I'm hoping to get it to you in the next couple of days, so you'll be able to look at it too. The fire truck is gonna go in as a reappropriation, so, you know, it's out of those numbers, and that's a pretty big hefty chunk, 200,000, but that was from insurance money. So, you know, don't let that confuse you. I'm just saying, we ended the year in pretty good state, and so we have some money to do some more of these things, but we just need to be strategic. So, kind of, you know, mull that over, keep that in the back of your mind, but, I mean, that is a good positive note to end
Are
on.
you locked in on that? We've got money now, because when we talked about giving bonuses.
Well, but that's what I'm saying, we have got to decide.
We could go back and.
If we've
do
got
some of that too.
If we've got a little extra money, and I'm not saying it's extra, but we have to spend it.
No, and in fact, I would say, let's not spend all of it. I mean, I really, you know,
How much
I
is
mean-
the census?
the census, I think, is 305,000, split between general fund and street. But it will pay us back, without a doubt. I mean, I'm pretty sure it will pay us back. How much it will pay us back?
Where you
we're
stake
way
your
over
salary
time.
on?
Oh, that's so great, because it's the federal government, I know, I'm like, oh. I don't
With
know.
all the asterisks and assumptions coming true,
Yeah, that's what I told him today in the department head meeting. I was like, if what I've been told comes true, then yes.
And you know, one thing,
Pay us back, we're not gonna go a lot further, but I'd rather see if they get money. and
I
get
think
some
a lot of
big
people that look at budgets,
personnel.
and it's almost like going to the casino and playing blackjack with chips instead of real money. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That's why they give you the chips when you go to the casino.
I mean, like, we got all the way down here. This is all right.
Yeah,
Well, I know that there, yeah.
that's good, because we talk and we never get anything.
Yeah, I mean, but.
Yeah, this was very good. Most of the trouble with that. You agree?
I'm glad, yeah. I do everything stuff that, you know, I haven't met somebody about the fire department, so we don't know.
That is.
Thank you, gentlemen.